Good evening, listeners, and welcome back to Whispers in the Walls. In tonight's tale, we delve into the seemingly quiet life of Peter, an 8-year-old boy with mysteries lurking in the shadows. So let's begin. A timid boy with large, curious eyes, Peter finds solace in his own little world. Bullied at school and misunderstood at home, he's caught between the demanding expectations of his parents, Carol and Mark, and the world outside. And in this dynamic, Miss Devine, a gentle substitute teacher, becomes his beacon of understanding. Halloween approaches, a night of costumes, candies, and youthful laughter. But for Peter, a dark cloud looms. Memories of a young girl's disappearance years ago has made his parents overcautious, robbing him of his chance to join the other children in the festivities. One night, the veil of sleep is broken by a persistent tapping, beckoning from the shadows outside Peter's window, and while his parents dismiss it as figments of his imagination, a voice begins to break through, introducing itself as Sarah. With each whispered conversation, Sarah paints a haunting image. Trapped within the very walls of Peter's home, she points fingers at the ones who would be his protectors, his own parents. And what's more concerning is the dark sketch of Sarah in Peter's notebook. Miss Devine's concern grows, but Carol sees it nothing more than a child's wild fantasies. School, which should have been a haven from his troubles, brings its own horrors. Brian, the relentless bully, zeroes in on Peter's cherished pumpkin, crushing it beneath his foot. But this time, spurred by Sarah's whispered encouragements, Peter retaliates. A shove, a scream, and suddenly Brian is sprawled at the foot of a flight of stairs, leg twisted in agony. The consequences are swift. Peter, now branded a troublemaker, finds himself expelled. And at home, things take an even darker turn. As punishment, he's banished to the basement. But here, away from prying eyes, Peter discovers something chilling. A concealed pit, shielded by a rusty grate. And the question remains, what lies beneath? Keep those lights on, dear listeners, and join us next time as we peel back the layers of this eerie tale. Until then, remember, sometimes the most haunting voices come from within the walls. Welcome back, listeners, as we rejoin our tale at the turning point in Peter's harrowing journey. Welcome back to Whispers in the Walls. Concern for Peter's well-being drives Miss Devine to check on her young student. But Mark, the formidable figure of the household, blocks her way. Her sharp eyes can't help but notice a fresh gash on his arm. What has been happening behind closed doors? Released from his cold prison, Peter finds solace in Sarah's whispers. She unravels a story that's heart-wrenching and dark. She is, in fact, his older sister, cast aside by their parents, cast into darkness and silence on one fateful Halloween, a night that also bore witness to a far more sinister act by their parents. The so-called missing girl had, in fact, been silenced forever. Fear and desperation grow within Peter. Sarah's voice takes on a more urgent tone. The walls of the house seem to close in on him with a deadly promise. He could be next. With Sarah's coaxing, a plan begins to form, one that dances on the edge of morality. Dinner becomes the stage for Peter's retribution. Rat poison, a silent and deadly weapon, is his choice. The clock ticks, every second drawing his parents closer to their fate. But even as Peter acts, there's chaos. The house becomes a battleground. Mark falls, a victim to the insidious poison. Carol, in her desperate struggle, meets a tragic end on the very stairs that have seen so much horror. And her last breaths, she delivers a chilling warning to her son. "Don't let her out," she rasps. But who is she referring to? Sarah, or is there another secret hidden within the walls? Sleep tight, dear listeners, but remember, sometimes vengeance is not the end, but just another layer of the story. We'll uncover more in our next episode of Whispers in the Walls. Good evening, listeners. We've reached the climax of our harrowing tale. The walls of Peter's home hold secrets darker than we could have imagined. Prepare to venture further into the shadowy corners of Whispers in the Walls. A hidden door veiled behind the old grandfather clock beckons. What Peter finds on the other side shakes his very understanding of life. Sarah, the voice of solace and guidance, now stands before him, not as a mere voice, but as a twisted figure from the past. Revelations unfold. Sarah, driven by resentment and anguish, had played her hand masterfully. In her eyes, Peter had lived a life she was robbed of. But before Peter can process this overwhelming truth, the front door bursts open. Brian, nursing a vendetta, and his cousins hoping for their pound of flesh, yet they underestimate the horrors of the house. One by one, Sarah's wrath claims them. Amidst the chaos, a beacon of hope, Miss Devine, driven by her protective instinct, ventures into the lion's den. But Sarah, embodiment of rage and despair, won't be easily deterred. Sarah's twisted form, her monstrous visage, becomes a symbol of the parental fear that had condemned her to a life of darkness. But for every monster, there is a hero. Miss Devine, with unwavering determination, and Peter, armed with the bitter truth, managed to imprison the vengeful spirit back into her abyss. Sarah's haunting vow lingers in the air, a reminder of the shadows that will forever trail Peter. Time, a gentle healer, finds Peter under the caring wings of Miss Devine, but as he drifts asleep one night, a familiar, chilling presence looms. Sarah, it seems, is not done. Dear listeners, sleep may come, but dreams are doorways. Join us next time as we explore more tales from beyond the veil in Whispers in the Walls.